Aloha, everyone. Welcome to Let's Evolve Together Tarot, as well as Jason Donaldson Healer. This is Galactic Shamans live tarot and energy readings. And we are here today to offer collective reading as to what's going on in the collective right now, energetically, what might be coming up for people, as well as personal readings for you guys from both of us. And so if you are interested in a personal reading, you can click on one of the links in the comments. We can do Venmo or Cash App there. And I think it's also going to, that should show up on both of our pages. And I'm just going to introduce us really quick. So if you do not know us, you get a little bit more of an idea of what we're about. So this is my wonderful friend, Jason Donaldson. And you can find him at jasondonaldsonhealer.com. He is a psychotherapist, a second energy practitioner, spirit guide, and mentor, offering 3, 6, and 9-month programs for spirit guidance, mentorship, the combination of energy work, breath work, counseling, and coaching. And really wonderful energy session that I got to have with him. So I definitely recommend that you guys go to him if you're interested in some deeper work. And then I am Deepa with Let's Evolve Together Tarot. You can find me at let'sevolvetogethertarot.com and on Instagram under that same name. And I offer tarot readings, Akashic record readings, energy clearings. I can do twin flame readings as well. So if you're interested in any of that, just go to that website. And mostly, I think we're just happy to be here with you guys today and be able to share in the energy, what's coming up, what's going on, and see if we can get some messages and guidance from our spirit guides, which is the fun part. Okay. Hi, Jason.
Hi. Thank you for that awesome introduction. Yeah, and the whole reason I'm here and we're collaborating is because of these awesome tarot readings I received from you. And I was facing surgery for a hernia, and I was pretty freaked out about it. It was something like, why can't I heal this myself? And it's structural, but there's got to be an alternative. And most of my life, I've always found an alternative rather than going into the medical model really deep to get things fixed. But this was, and maybe I could have found something, but I surrendered to I got to get this fixed. And because I had ancestors that never got it fixed, they just dealt with it. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. But you helped me with a reading that, helped me understand the choices I had and making those choices and committing to it, and, risking failure or catastrophe or whatever it is. It just really brought a lot of peace of mind to me. So that was really helpful.
And that's really wonderful. Thank you.
Why I showed up, I was like, yeah, let's do this together. This would be great.
Yeah, yes, I know. And it has been so great. I love it. Totally raises my vibration. Afterwards, I'm always buzzing. It's just so fun.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a little scary too, the live, and I don't know what's going to come through, but that's that's that flow state. That's that, ability to channel and just trust. And, and also our theme this time is sovereignty. And so we'll talk a bit about sovereignty as far as our perspective on that. And, there's many perspectives on everything. And so that's what we're offering here is our perspective and what we channel and what the cards bring forth. And if, like Deepa said, if you want a reading, a mini tarot reading, energy reading, I just find the link in the description. And I think in the chat, I'll post on my page as well. We're coming live from Deepa's page, Let's Evolve Together, and Jason Donaldson Healer. Is it Let's Evolve Together Tarot or just Let's Evolve Together?
Yeah, on YouTube, it's actually Let's Evolve Together because there's more than just tarot on the YouTube channel. There's yoga and a little series and a playlist for beginners on how to meditate. And I'm going to start offering more as far as Akashic records without tarot cards. So yeah, on the YouTube, it's just Let's Evolve Together, but the website is actually let'sevolvetogethertarot.com.
Okay, cool. I love that name.
Yeah, I thought of it quite a few years ago before I even considered doing tarot online, and it stuck. It really stuck. And it was really something that came from all the yoga classes I was teaching. So yeah, I'm glad it stayed the course, with me through time as time passed, and I was able to really bring it into life. Yeah. Yeah, and if anyone's here live, please say hi, because we don't know you're here unless you chime in. We'd love to talk to you and just check in and see how you guys are doing. Oh, I can see that now.
And we're going to do a collective reading as well. So we'll talk a bit about what we're experiencing, the energy wise, and personally. And if anybody wants to chime in with that, that would be awesome too. Like what you've been noticing and things like that. But if you want something more personal, then we do we offer the readings. So it'd be tuning into your energy signature, that where you're at now, and also like your higher galactic self, and these whatever guidance comes through. And sometimes it's a little bit energy work, other times it's information, confirmations a lot of times, or just love and support for whatever you're facing as we're on this human journey together during this really powerful time of ascension, which basically means, oh my God, I'm bringing everything with me, even the parts I thought weren't me, and the people around me that are super irritating. And it's like, oh, that's a reflection of me helping me feel something. I really don't want to, but I'm ascending and I got to, so that's what I love about the galactic information too. If you find some the information out there, they're talking about the galactic races and how they ascended and what they went through, and how some of them tried not to bring the emotional body with them, and how that played out, and how long it took some of them, like the Orions and even like the Syrians, what they went through, or the master magicians. And I can kind of just move this stuff around, but it all comes around.
Yeah, you can move it around, but you can't get away from it.
Yeah, right. You can, do a little magic, put it off to the side there, or whatever, but it's all going to come back around, because it's all oneness, right? And to me, like, just get into the sovereignty aspect is, I was on YouTube and I got one of those things that popped up that's like speaking directly to you, the title and everything. I'm like, all right, that is where I'm at right now. Like feeling kind of lonely and isolated, even though I'm around people. And I click on it, and it's this man really speaking from his heart. And you could see the inner child in him, and you could see that he's just expressing like probably what he's going through, but he also knows a lot of other people are going through. And he's bringing this message through. It's really quite profound. And it reminds me of like when a child would say something, and then the adult, and it's profound, it's powerful, and it rings true. And then the adult's like, yeah, but this and this, and this is the way the world is. But like letting go of all that, and what Jesus was saying, to be a child in the world, to remember that part of us that is like the infinite wise being that we are, and like live that and fearlessly express it. And it kind of almost looks, you see the child on the person. So there's this feeling of, at least for me, like fear. Oh no, I'm vulnerable, and someone is gonna like attack me. I look weak, or I'm a mark. Look at this guy. He's like a little kid. But I'm realizing more and more that that's what we all long for, or would like to have be possible, and why people are so protective of children. Like stuff can happen to an adult and they're like, oh man, that's horrible. But if it happens to a kid, you're like, oh man, what the hell? And it's just like off the rails, kind of upset, because we all want, as far as I believe, we all want to feel that child that's able to just enjoy its life and not be yelled at or controlled or manipulated. And to me, that's what sovereignty is you get to live that. You get to live and express your joy unapologetically, because it's not hurting anyone. And if anyone gets upset, they're already upset, with what's being said.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I love that word, sovereignty. I always mispronounce it sovereignty, which sounds like sobriety. But I think basically on this journey, if you want to call it, toward ascension or toward enlightenment or toward oneness with source, it feels like it's like this weird, almost like a paradox, I guess you could say, of being sovereign in your own being, being clear, being authentic, being of high integrity, having healthy boundaries, being in balance within yourself, and not pulling on people or situations around you to give you that. There's a certain amount of, like, you can only place the crown of sovereignty on your head, the crown of sovereignty on your head. Only you can do it. And I think there's a lot of power to that, because that really is a place where you stand in your power with your sovereignty, your sovereignty. And it's also like, well, if we're traveling more toward oneness and unity, then how does that work with being sovereign? Because being sovereign, it's almost like, you feel alone in it. There's a power in it where you feel, okay, here I am in my space, not pulling, but there's a power to that and a grace to that, where you also are contributing to your environment and your community, and then traveling toward oneness and inner freedom together as a whole. So I can see why it can be confusing at times. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like when you hear the word sovereign nation, it's like, oh, it's out there all by itself. How's it going to protect itself, and how's it going to do this or that, or who's its allies? And um, yeah, I think a lot of it is around this idea of protection and feeling safe, at least what I see. And then that idea of being alone means there's something wrong, like something's wrong or something bad's going to happen if I'm alone. But we're never really alone. It's just we think we are, or we perceive that, but deep inside, there's like the liver cell is never alone, although it may feel alone and disconnected from the liver, but it's still the liver.
Yeah. 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 And I think there's got to be something to that. Like on your journey as you grow, at least this has been my experience. For me, it started out with codependent relationships was pretty much the theme. And then how to find, how to be sovereign in that kind of energy, and how to be like a healthy counterpart for somebody. Um, and then realizing the times at which I would expect, someone to supply something for me that I really needed to source for myself. And then as you grow and you learn from that experience of the sovereign journey, then the next level would be more, okay, now that I've realized how to be healthy within myself, now I can start, the next level would be starting to, see the interconnectedness of all of us. So it's almost like shifting into more of a whole concept. It's like first you purify, maybe if you are the cell, first you purify your own self and yourself. And then once you grow and evolve, because you have purified yourself, you can merge with the whole. There's something about like the imbalance or the separation of like, we're meant to experience this journey of separation so that we can evolve as the small self or the ego. We're meant to evolve through that process. But then there's a certain point in time where that separation, it becomes integration, and then we merge with the whole. So I believe that the path to becoming sovereign is like a step, it's that previous step before you end up merging with the whole. I know I'm thinking about it in a limited way because I can't see that yet. Do you know what I mean? I know it's limited. I just can't, I don't have words.
The trouble of all beings throughout history is like, oh, I figured it out, or I feel it. Now, how can I explain it to everyone? And as soon as you try to explain it, it disappears.
Yeah, the bubble.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
bubble. No.
Well, I was just thinking about that too, is like this idea of self-sourcing being, like the sun, and it just emanates and things are drawn to it or repelled. And, but also like, I'm going through some grief from the end of a relationship, which was really actually good. It was a great relationship, and it just wasn't working. And I knew it for a while, and it, it ran its course, and really owning like that it's nobody's fault. Maybe things could have been done differently, but it's really just, it's not working. And what I miss the most, is this. First I actually opened my heart and let myself really love someone at a deep, deep level. And now I'm like, oh God, why did I do that? It hurts so bad. And it'd be a tendency to blame that person or blame myself. And really, I actually did really well with this one. It's just like, I chose love as much as I could rather than the judgments and the insanity that my mind offers all the time. But what I miss the most, and what I'm grieving, there is such a thing as grief, there's a sadness about what was shared. what level of intimacy I shared with another person, what level of love I got to experience with another person. Like, true, it's inside of me, and it's there, but it's like, it's so much more fun and enjoyable to share with others, to go to a party where everyone's smiling and laughing. You smile and laugh at home, but when there's more people, it's just like, oh, this is so great. This is amazing. And so I think that's what a lot of, like, I'm seeing grief is about, is you still love that person, you love that experience, that situation, but there's this longing for, more of that type of experience, and it's all external, and we already have it inside of us, but it's like, I wanted more, and this is like bathed in Egyptian archetypes and energies, is, she's like the holy longing, like why we even incarnate is to come here and taste the food, and to play and to enjoy life, and an indulgence would be, like Hathor or someone else is like, oh, I'm enjoying this drink and I'm enjoying this expression of dance and celebration. And so I'm kind of went off on a tangent there, but that's like this idea of self-sourcing, but still wanting to share it with someone else.
Yeah. That's kind of what I'm like feeling. Yeah. It's like, okay, I guess it's really about healthy boundaries too. Like understanding healthy boundaries, where I begin and end, where you begin and end, what we share in the middle there, as a shared experience. So yeah.
Yeah, I love the notion. I don't even know where I first heard it, but it was like loving someone from the right distance. It's like being able to love everyone, but then there's got to be a certain level of distance. And if someone's really not healthy for us, and we know this, or someone's been like hurting us, we can still love that person and have love for them, but we're probably not going to hang out with them. We're not going to invite them over for dinner, and things like that. And we got to set boundaries too when they call, or when something happens and we see them. It's like, oh, I'm going to duck out off to the side because I love that person, but I'm not gonna hang out.
Yeah.
That's the Jesus level, the mastery level, Buddha and Krishna and everything else, is you get to this place where you just love everyone, and you're able to navigate them, and they're not even really drawn to you anymore as you shine this love out. And I think that's ultimately what this is all about, is to come back to that love and shine that light. And then reality changes, and then stuff still happens, and we have an opportunity to like experience it. And so
I think
lately.
and I think on the journey too, all the stuff that comes into question is, if I don't have these healthy boundaries up, what pattern am I following? Like, for instance, people pleasing, or just wanting to be the good friend to everyone, no matter what it costs me energetically. It's that kind of thing that, when we're learning to be sovereign, we have to check those things in ourselves. Like, why do I keep these people around that don't feel good or aren't as supportive as my heart would really like? What is this really about? And so that the journey is like, it's kind of like the what am I journey, where you're like, okay, not this, not this. It's like unlearning these patterns that we've taken on for survival reasons, most likely through our lives, and then discovering more and more. It's almost like becoming more of like a minimalist, like realizing how much you don't need, how much you don't need to be carrying, how much you don't need to be holding on for other people. It's that kind of thing. Like, it's so much simpler, I feel, than we make it out to be as humans. We take on so much of other people's stuff, let alone our own. We feel like we have to carry their burdens too. So there's definitely a lot of like what we need to learn about ourselves through relationships. So it's like, getting clear on that, unblurring the lines, kind of.
Yeah, relationships are like the master class.
Yeah.
Intimate, romantic ones, or just like a boss or a friend or anything.
And I think a lot of people are really going to be feeling this right now, because Venus is in Leo, and Venus is going to go through a retrograde period this summer. And it's everything from family connections to intimate relationships to friendships to finances, it's really going to put into question for a lot of us what we believe we're worth. And then of course, then we have to face, is that all I believe that I'm worth, and why, or where did that come from? And how much do I value myself? How do I want to set up my finances? How do I set up my finances? And then it's like, also like, why do I have the connections that I do? How do I share myself? How do I not? There's so much we're going to all be weighing this summer. It's going to be an interesting summer. Like, I feel like most of the time it's like summertime, travel. It's almost like this party energy that comes alive for everybody. And it's the sun, the sun is at least in our, um, you know, whatever I'm trying to say, but it's feels like we're going to be in this energy of introspection more than like is normal for kind of a typical summertime period that you would expect. It just feels like with the retrograde happening right in the middle of the summer, it's going to be a lot of like rest, reflection, and review, and like just asking what we really want of ourselves in our lives, and like redoing the little blueprint of it.
Yeah, I love that, because it just guides us to what we want, what we truly desire, rather than what we're settling for or what we are comfortable with. And I was thinking about the tarot cards too, and what would represent like sovereignty. And the Emperor pops in first off, but really I feel it more like the sun. The sun and the star, like this. I'm free in my body. I'm enjoying life. I'm connected. My inner child's happy. And then with the star, I'm connected to source, and I'm channeling the divine, and I'm creating a new reality, a new world. And that would be pretty epic. And there's like, I think the sun is the first card out of the descent, when you come out of the underworld, right? Or the inner world, really, is like, you're coming out now. And it's like, you've done all this inner work, and now what do I do with all this? And there's still this fear of, oh no, I can't do that because all these things that happened in the past. And then I think we're being asked to really let go of that past and embrace that things can be different, and to lean into the discomfort and the fear, and breathe with it. Love that child that's still like, oh, I don't know, last time we did this, it didn't work out. But having them beside you and walking together, rather than yelling at it or pushing the child away, kind of thing. Because I think we're way harsher on ourselves in those parts of us than we are with any other child or anyone else in the world. And so it's like self-sourcing, self-loving, breathing. I just breathe with those parts, even though I'm like, oh, I feel weak because this little child's crying next to me, and I feel it too, and people are going to see it. And it's kind of the opposite. People kind of resonate with like your soul when they see that you're feeling, and you're still able to navigate life. It's not overwhelming, even though that's going to happen sometimes, and that's fine, because we always pull out of it because it's not our truth.
Yeah. And Molly was just saying, and by the way, if we ever mention Molly, it's because she's an incredible astrologist, and Molly McCord on YouTube. She was just mentioning in one of her podcasts about how probably the number one thing we will be needing this summer is self-compassion, because not only are a lot of us going to be trying something new, and we need to really be patient with ourselves. It was so cute. I think it was her who also posted this little meme of a baby the baby had put one sock on, and it was trying to put on the other sock. And it just got so frustrated and threw like the biggest tantrum, and like it just totally tore my heart apart. He was so upset, but it was that energy. Like, I'm trying something new. I'm trying to be really good at it. And I want to succeed. I know how to do it, but it's just not working. And it's that energy that like frustration, but like, it just feels like self-compassion and patience will be like these two mainstays that we need to hold on to for pretty much the rest of the year, in my perspective, if not our lives. But I think it's going to be a pretty interesting summer, and those two things, those two tools can really guide us.
Yeah, because a part of us remembers, like, I'm an infinite, unlimited creator being, and I have had lifetimes where I've done these things, and then we go to do them, and you're like, why is this so difficult? I played
Yeah.
piano many, many lifetimes, or when I did Tai Chi a lot, people would come that were meditated, and they were like energy workers and healers, and like straight out of the jungle, living really close to nature, got the dreads and everything, and they got some power, and they would try to do the Tai Chi, and they would try to like do push hands and try to move my teacher or one of us, and they couldn't because they really hadn't embodied the balance yet, and they didn't know the technique to do it, but they had the energy, and you could feel them in your energy trying to dig around and throw you off balance, but your structure was good. And so there was like this learning curve, even though we've done things in many lifetimes, that there's still this rudimentary like steps we still take, which are super annoying. I remember my metaphysics teacher, she was aware that when she incarnated into this lifetime, she didn't want to go through that like difficulty of babbling and not being able to talk. So she didn't talk until she was, I think, like 2.5 or something, maybe older. And then she just started talking like full sentences and stuff. So
Now I'm ready.
interesting. Like, I'm coming in, but I don't want to do all that crap.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't have a choice, or eventually, we have to do that. So my friend was saying how, when we choose these lives, we go, it's kind of like being in a store, and you go to all these different sections like sporting goods and, my gifts, and you look on the shelf at all your gifts, and you go, a couple other sections, you get everything, you're excited, you go up to the checkout counter, and they're like, sorry, you didn't go to that section, like the challenges and the trials. And you're like, oh God, can I do it next time? And then sometimes, I think a lot of times they're like, yeah, you can do it next time, but you're going to have to do it. And then we do that over and over. And then it's like, okay, it's time for that lifetime. And then that person, and this is in, what book was it? Journey of the Souls, I think it was. I wish I had that book on hand.
No, I think I haven't read that book, but I've heard a lot about it.
It's really good because they went beyond like the past lives into like before lives, and they were saying
lives, right?
We can kind of view the life and the potentials and the possibilities.
Yeah.
And then we have these opportunities to work with other souls. And sometimes a soul step forward that's like, oh no, not you again. And we play this role back and forth over and over. And there's others who are like, oh, I love being with you, and you're going to be my son this time. Last time, you were my mother or whatever. And we get to do these interchangeable roles. And then there's the other ones that come up like, oh, you're going to challenge me and really make my life hell. And it's going to be for me. I get it, but I'm going to forget when I come down here. And I think that's a lot of the sovereignty too, is when we start to see, oh, this is happening for me. This being is playing a role, even though I'm not enjoying this. And then the more we kind of connect with that, a little easier it gets, at least with context. And it doesn't mean we should just submit to stuff, but be in our sovereignty and trust our guidance and do what we need to do to get out of those situations. But yeah, I just find that interesting. I don't even know how I got onto that, but I'm glad you're here. Otherwise I'd be drifting out into space all the time. It's like, oh, let's come back. We should probably do like a collective reading then. Yeah. Since we're getting into, you're talking about Molly McCord and the astrology. I'm not really an astrologer, and I learned it, quite a bit of it, not a whole lot, but I kind of threw it to the side because I was like, it's too complicated. Nothing determines my destiny. This is making me think about these things. That's why it's happening. But I'm seeing the subtle influence. I've always believed that. And I've seen more and more the importance of it. In fact, the woman I was dating previously, she's an astrologer, a really great astrologer, and really helped me see that this is something to embrace in my life again, rather than reject it and bury my head in the sand. So I love that you brought up Molly, because Molly's stuff's really, she's just right away, she comes with it, like what's happening, what's going on. And then it's more detail, and her like memes are super funny. And I also like Pam Gregory is really great too. She's a great astrologer. So if anybody's tuning into astrology for the first time, they're two good sources, but there's many other good ones. And Leo King, he's pretty interesting too. I think that guy. I'll like tell you straight.
Yeah, he was one of the first I listened to. He's pretty funny.
Yeah.
No nonsense there.
Yeah. He's like the rock star DJ, astrologer, model. Like I think he's raced like jet skis and stuff too.
Yeah.
Total Leo. I think he's got like 4 or 5 planets. Yeah. He's
And of
rocking
course,
it.
and it's so funny because only a Leo would call himself the Leo King because it's so perfect. It's like you're going to hear that out of a Cancerian.
I
Cancerian
love that.
King is probably not going to do that.
Yeah, I love the joke. You can never over flatter a Leo. Like they're not gonna get irritated by it. It's just like, oh yeah, this is great. You tired
Yeah.
yet? I'm loving it.
And it's so cool because we have Venus and Mars and Leo right now.
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool.
So the Leo energy's up. I don't know if a lot of you have been thinking about new wardrobes, new hairstyles, just like new ways you want to look, new ways you want to show up to the world. Definitely coming up. Yeah. So it's almost like now that I am this different person, how would that person dress? Because it's almost like as you shift, your clothes shift, your belongings in your house sort of change. You get rid of things. There's a lot of purging that goes on. So definitely like with Leo energy, it revolves around like your own creativity of your clothing, your hairstyle, all that kind of stuff. So we could see definitely how this energy is showing up in the tarot and the oracle card.
Okay.
So yeah, should I start or you want to start?
Yeah, you feeling it? You want to start it?
Yeah, I'll start.
Okay.
Okay. Where? Let's see.
How many decks you got over there in front of you? And
13.
oh man, lucky 13.
Yeah, right. Actually, let's pull one of these. And this is kind of like this is a Sacred Destiny Oracle deck. By the way, when I was randomly shuffling while you and I were talking before the show started, you got the Magician.
Oh, okay. My Syrian stuff. Like I'm gonna.
I think so. Yeah.
Or actually, I'm gonna embrace
I don't know
that.
if it ever goes away, but
Like
you're in it.
that?
I said I don't know if it ever goes away, but you're in it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got, and I turned off my light on purpose. I know I'm dark, but the cards show it better this way. So we got Wonders. So this is like breakthrough. There's a crystal here. It's purple. If you can't see it, it's like it looks like an amethyst or a quartz crystal, but it's basically breaking through this dark cloud. And that is the energy right now. There's definitely like a lot of energy leaning toward mental clarity and breakthrough. So I'm gonna see what this is about with a different deck. And for everybody, it's going to be different, but let's just see what comes through. Wow. Faith. So miraculously, amazingly, everything I need always comes. Love is opening me to receive beyond anything I imagine. And it's also this energy of if I open to what's wondrous and what's magical, if I have faith in that mystery, because this is like really allowing the universe to be present in our lives when we feel grateful for the magic and the opportunities that are already present in our lives. And then we allow the universe, that's an opening where the universe can really step in and bring in doors opening and adjacent possibilities, which has been coming up a lot in the collective readings on my Instagram channel. It's like if one thing doesn't work, there's other ways to be abundant just right around the corner. We only have to open our eyes. There's not just one way to receive abundance, and having faith in the journey and where it might take us is what will carry us. It's like the raft that carries us to our destination or where we're hoping to land. And right now, like what I've been seeing in the collective for sure. And there's one really great thing we're not going to tell you about yet. It's too early, but we will tell you soon. But people have been getting new jobs, so definitely wonderful financial opportunities are coming up for people, starting new businesses, getting new jobs, changing careers. There's definitely that energy in the air with this Venus and Leo energy. So I'm definitely, sensing that and seeing that come up for people. Just from what I've seen around me, and from what I know about Venus. So do you want to go back and forth or what do you want to do today?
Sure. Okay. The vice versa deck. So this is the deck that shows like the opposite of the Rider-Waite deck, although it's slightly different. I was kind of hoping it was. I remember years ago I saw one that was the exact opposite of the Rider-Waite deck. If anybody knows what that is, please comment. There's because it's like the other perspective. If you have like the 9 of Swords, you have the person in bed with all the swords, and then you see, and on these cards, you see like a gargoyle thing flying at the person. You know, they're in their head, and they're like, "Oh, what's going on? What's going on?" And it's like, you know, this like idea of these thoughts that form and control us, and really, it's just our thought or our attachment to it. So, let's see what these come through with. I haven't really worked with these ones much. This is a deck you loaned me, Deepa, as you remember. So we get the Fool reversed, Temperance reversed, and the Tower reversed. So I get a bunch of reversals. So we have the Fool. It's a pretty cool deck. It was very vibrant in color. And then on the opposite side, you see the Star and his excitement for the journey he's about to take, even though it's kind of dark. So with the Fool reversed, what I'm getting is, you know, what comes up immediately for me just looking at it and is the like this longing for something. Like I want to move towards something. I'm ready to go. I want to travel. I want to do these things, and I'm not there. Like it even almost like, what do I do? What's going to happen? What do I do next? And with the Temperance reversed, I think that's showing really that there's still more inner work. There's still more, like you were saying earlier, Deepa, like getting clear with what you truly want. Like there's ideas of what we think we want. Like we want to be successful. It's like, okay, well, what's success? And people will get irritated. Well, what do you mean what's success? It's like money, it's this. And it's like, well, how much money? And what will that money give you? Is it really the money? And so it's like getting really clear and like the genie in the lamp. Like when I ask a question, or when I, you know, when you make your wish, it's got to be really clear and precise. Otherwise, you may just get what you want. And so what I'm getting with the Fool reverse and Temperance reverse is this finding the inner like alchemy and the inner like vision of what you truly want, and balancing what's been programmed into you as success and what you truly desire, and even connecting to that true desire. And with the Tower reversed, like I would read that as like basically having these little epiphanies, having these insights, and that kind of like shake you to your core. Like, whoa, what would that be like if I did it like that? Or what would it be like if there was no money anymore? Or if I, you know, quit my job, or if I stepped out and did something totally radically different. And I'm not saying we would do that, but it's like really entertaining it, really feeling it, and embracing that. So that's what I'm getting, is just again, like a holding pattern, like wanting to do something, not sure what it is, even though you're like, oh, I know what I want to do. And then be like, well, can we refine that? Can we get clear? Can we balance it and figure out what exactly it is we want from a higher, deeper level? And then allowing for the jolt of that, like, oh man, I really want this, but oh, that terrifies me. Oh God, you know, what would happen? My whole life would fall apart. People would laugh at me, whatever it is, you know, I don't like it. And so that's what I'm getting as I tune in more energetically than just reading the cards, but the cards help me tap in.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree. It just feels like there's actually a lot of planets in Taurus. So there's a lot of fixed energy right now where a lot of us feel like we're in a holding pattern and we can't move forward. So as the planets move, that'll ease up a little bit. But I do feel like it's not going to come without like some kind of shakeup. So I do feel that Tower card for sure. And one of the cards that I was getting just a couple days ago in my Instagram reel about the collective reading was the Knight of Wands in reverse. And it was like, I also had all reversals, I think, in that reading too. And it's this energy of, we have to change the way that we do things. We're being asked to change the way that, like, the normal mode of operation isn't really going to work, because for whatever reason, we've either grown out of it or evolved out of it, or we're being asked, we're being asked for more from ourselves, from the universe, to step up, to change our habits, because it'll be for our best interest. It'll bring us more into alignment, whether we like it or not. It's going to be a good change. So we have to shift our like normal mode of operation in order to achieve new results. So there can be definitely a lot of fear coming up, which I feel like, when you're in the Fool in reverse, that feels like fear. Like, here's your new opportunity. Here's the unknown. With the Fool, there's always the unknown. And it's like, are you going to go for it? Are you going to allow yourself to go there, to have faith, in the wonders that are being offered, the opportunities that are being offered. And also we've got the Two of Pentacles in reverse next to the Three of Cups. So, the Three of Cups to me, more often than not, is friendships. It's community. And we're trying to find balance with the Two of Pentacles in reverse. We're trying to find balance within community and within friendships at this time. And for guidance, when I pulled a guidance card, we actually did get an upright card for Eight of Wands upright here, which is communicate, work together. Don't run away. We also at the bottom of the deck got Eight of Cups in reverse. Don't run away from this. Like, talk it out. Say what you got to say. There's something that means a lot to you here. You're trying to navigate the way you feel inside with other people's desires and needs. And the best way is to just find a bridge to connect, through the hearts to each other. Okay, how can we work this out? And not to run from like what potentially feels like confrontation or conflict, but to say, I'm going to do it differently this time. I'm going to listen deeply to what you're saying to me, even if it hurts my ego. And I want to tell you how I feel, even if it hurts your ego, because we need to come to a new understanding. There's definitely a new level that's wanting to be reached here. I feel like this summer, we're all going to be coming to like a new level with ourselves and with each other. And I do feel like the ground's going to shake to make it happen. We'll be facing fears. It will be a challenge, but in the end, we're going to be really happy that that we've shifted. It feels like that. Hi, Carol.
Hey, Carol. So respect yourself as you are a vital part of the world, of the whole, learning to work in harmony. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like, little old me doesn't exist anymore. That phrase.
Yeah.
Little old me.
Well, the communication is so important. And like, I know in my life, there's a tendency to just like walk away from things and scorch the earth. Like, that's it, I'm out, burn bridges and everything else. And I've done a lot better with it the last decade, but there's still that tendency. And so for me, it's like when I have that knee jerk reaction, like, oh, I just need to get out of this thing. I know it's me needing to actually try to communicate more. And I think that's all any of us can do, is try to communicate what we're truly feeling, what we're desiring, what we need, and in a way that people can hear it, and then also be able to do the same for others. And this is something that came up recently that a gentleman was sharing with me, is, it's really doing that, and maybe even taking turns doing it. Like, you go to someone, you tell them, he suggests you go to someone and you tell them like, hey, I want you to tell me everything. You never got to tell me everything you feel, everything, I need to hear, you want me to hear. And I'm not going to say anything except for, is there more? And actually do that and not get triggered, not get upset, not let the ego jump up and be like, oh, that's not what happened. Because a lot of times it's perception. Like, they may be misperceiving, but it's like they come to it on their own a lot of times. like even the next day or something, they'll realize after they expressed and were heard and acknowledged that, oh, well, I have a dream about her. It clicks in their head that night. Like, oh, I wasn't really seeing what was happening. And that's like not easy to do. And, this is with loved ones, obviously not someone that is going to take advantage of that and use it against you. But I thought that was really powerful. And that's what it reminds me of. And when I saw the Pentacles, 2 Pentacles reverse, it always reminds me of like writing and like journaling that, writing out what we desire, what we want to let go of, and burning that, and also writing what we do want, and that's another thing is like, why do I want this thing? And then why wouldn't I want this thing? Like, what part of me is scared of this thing and blocking it from happening, or becoming emotional, and I don't want to feel that emotion, so I don't go for that thing, kind of thing. And that's basically like these parts of us that are wanting to be held and loved, that are like, no, don't do that, it's dangerous. And so we don't do it, or we feel the emotion, and this gets easier with time. And I think that's the mastery.
Yeah, we keep getting Kali Ma here. I've gotten her so many times over the past like 10 days.
Awesome.
But she says, facing fear, major spiritual changes are unfolding. This is your chance to soar. So it does feel like a fear, some sort of fear coming up for people, but the encouragement and the guidance is to face the fears, to trust that we'll get stronger, better for it. We also did get surrender unhealthy relationships. So, this could be this energy too. It's like trying to find balance in relationships that just aren't supporting you or working. There's a difference between really trying to make something work, communicating, finding healing through the relationship, or really knowing, okay, this is just not good for me. And then saying, okay, I need to let this dissolve in my life, because this one says, surrender unhealthy relationships, let go of relationships that don't serve you, including unavailable or toxic people. You deserve to be treasured by others and to be surrounded by positive people. And for whatever reason, attachments to our own history with that person, perhaps it's hard to let go of relationships. So there's definitely like, I can see a lot going on with this reading, and for everybody, it will be different, but it does feel like this review of your connections and, how much are you paying energetically for these connections? Like, what is the value here? How am I treating myself? What was that about? Oh yeah. Respect yourself, because it does come down. That's what it comes down to. Our relationships really do reflect how much we respect ourselves, depending on the types of relationships that we choose.
Yeah. And the inner reflection of that too. Like, are we listening to what's being said inside of us?
Mm-hmm.
Are we acknowledging that? Doesn't mean we have to believe it or go with it, but like, are we actually listening? And can we express to others and they actually listen and hear, or are they just kind of focused on their own stuff and their own needs and wants? And how fast is their mental body going? How much are they living in their head? And maybe that's a reflection too, but it's like, if we can't communicate and people are just jumping on us with everything and things aren't working, then maybe there's something better, even though it's not even bad what we're in, the situation we're in. It's like actually pretty good, and it's really close to what we want, and we know on some level it's like there's something else out there. It's like the idea of getting rid of the clothes in the closet to make room for the new clothes, even though they haven't showed up yet. And that's the thing, is like, well, and this is this is something this guy Brian I know says, is like, I'll put some wood in that fire when it starts putting out some fucking heat. It's like, it hasn't even been built yet, and we're like, well, I'll put wood in it when it starts producing. And so it's like this idea that we have to basically be it, trust that the faith, like, it's going to show up, it's going to be here. And then like, if it kind of shows up and not really, like, no, I'm going to hold out for what I really want. And entrepreneurs know this, they do this, they'll live in their car and stuff, because they're like, nope, I'm working for myself, I'm going to create this thing, I'm going to do it. I don't care. I'm not going back to that job, or I'm not going to take this offer, because they know they'll just get sucked into it, and they'll put all their time and consciousness into helping someone else get what they want. And it doesn't always serve the collective either. It's like detrimental sometimes. So that's what I'm getting, is like just being with it, trusting it's going to show up.
Yeah, I love that. That was a great story, great metaphor for that energy, for this energy right now too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, what can we ask ourselves right now? Do I accept myself without judgment? Breathe the earthworm. And then and the mother's been coming up a lot. And this is probably because we're getting close to the summer solstice and that Cancerian energy. What role is mothering energy playing in my life? Nurture. Oops. Because I think like if we can accept ourselves unconditionally, right, without judgment, we can then nurture ourselves like a mother, an unconditional love of a mother. So it's like that energy of, reparenting yourself. So maybe it was a hard past or childhood that some of us have had. So what can you do now to source that energy? How can you reparent yourself? What can you give yourself to supply that now? Like, how can you listen to yourself without judgment? Love yourself unconditionally, prioritize and respect yourself despite, what you think you should do or what you think is being expected of you. And like, imagine like the divine mother of all, holding you in her open arms, unconditionally loving you for just being you, that's it, just existing. And see if you can do that for yourself and just there's an allowance there of your whole self to come through when we can love to those depths.
Yeah, not comparing ourselves to others, because they didn't live our life. It may be easier for some people to do certain things, and the tendency of like, why does it always work for them, and why is this? And it's like, maybe they didn't get yelled at all the time. Maybe they didn't have a parent like neglecting them and wouldn't acknowledge their existence, or maybe there was these experiences we had with others that kind of shaded how our life played out, and then the opportunity to like embrace that feeling that comes up when we try to do those same things with this extra energy, really. And like when we tap into that energy, it's even more powerful. Like that's our power right there. And to really embrace that idea, well, what if this is my power, rather than just making me feel limited and vulnerable and weak? Maybe that's my juice. Yeah. Like, because they say vulnerability brings connection, and we do these circles and these groups. And when someone really drops something from the heart, and the whole room opens up, and everyone else does the same thing. So that's pretty powerful.
Cool.
So I'm going to pull a dragon card and see what the dragons have to say. We got this last time, or I've gotten this card a couple of times. The aquamarine dragon from Neptune.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So enables you to access your deepest soul wisdom. So like the deep dive into the subconscious, and the subconscious connection to the higher self would be what I would get.
Yeah.
Spirituality and wisdom are available to you. Develop your psychic abilities and receive soul knowledge. Nice.
Yeah. Let's actually pull from, let's see what the star seeds have to say as we're bridging now over to the more, the higher dimensions here. We'll get some galactic guidance. We did get this one recently too. Anunnaki light codes, energetic shift, new information, and the end of a cycle. I mean, definitely. It's just like closing out. Things are closing out for people. New opportunities, new doors are opening. We're shifting. We're being asked to shift. New information is coming in to help us make choices too. If any of you are feeling like you don't know which way to go, it means it's not time to move yet. And the Venusian Galactic Council, star being guides, answer the call, time to shine. There's just like this real Queen of Wands, King of Wands energy being presented to a lot of us to step into our power and whatever that means for us. You know, how can we feel good in our lives, and what choices can we make to ensure that, you know, that type of alignment?
It's interesting, the Anunnaki, because that's such a charged word, you know. Like, were they good? Were they bad? Did they create the humans or did they enslave them? And were they even one race? It was like suggested there was multiple groups. And I find it really interesting, even like working with Thoth, like being I didn't really want to connect with because there's so much distortion around it, that energy and how it's been used. And you know, the Anunnaki connection and Atlantis and everything else. And you know, more and more it's realizing like what we put our energy into is what we create, and the stories we embrace and everything else. And so that's just interesting, you know, that pops in is like, what story are we taking on as the absolute truth? Or could it be different? Could there be something other than this? Maybe there's some level of insecurity or fear around this, and it brings up this negative story versus what truly played out. Like the alien abductions, like it's maybe I've just shifted, but I think the whole collective has shifted away from this idea that it's this horrible thing that's happening to people and they're being abused. Whereas it's like, oh, there's this contract that was carried out and we forgot. And the Zeta are like kind of, you know, like very intellectual, and they're like, you know, there is an agreement, you know, F you. They're not going to be compassionate as they're like dragging you or whatever. It's like they're like the worst babysitters, maybe, and not no disrespect any energies throughout the galaxy, but it's kind of like that person that doesn't really get social cues, and they're really loving, beautiful being, but they don't really get the social cue. And so people are like, oh, that guy's a dick. And it's like, well, no, he's just not understanding what you're talking about. And, you know, he has a different way of interacting, and like the neurodiversity is just different. But because we're used to things being a certain way in a certain context, it's jarring and it triggers our pain. And so I just wanted to throw that out there too, is like this perspective of what a thing actually is versus what it is.
Yeah.
What we think it is. And that's, you know, you know, using your psychic abilities. Like when you meet a sociopath, they're like, they're very charming, and they're, you know, they say all the right things. And then there's a part of you that's like, oh, something doesn't feel right, you know? And you're like, I'm not going to do this thing that they want me to do. And you know, it's trusting our gut, our, you know, our deep knowing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're definitely being asked to trust. And so that brings up a whole slew of potential open wounds for a lot of us. You know, how do we trust ourselves? Because it really does come down to trusting yourself. And once you trust yourself, the rest of it just falls away. Your need, I mean, of course, we want to trust those in our lives, right? But you can only truly trust yourself to take care of yourself, no matter what changes or evolves around you. And the number one bond in trust that we need to have is with ourselves.
Yeah, to be selfish, to put ourselves first, like our higher self, our true self.
Yeah.
And strengthen that so that spills over to everyone else. Because when we do that, it will naturally do all those loving things. Like love just does what's needed. You know, if we're in a place of love where we're really loving ourselves first, we will naturally help others. We'll be drawn to it. And there's all this research showing that with entrepreneurs and other people. You know, they go through these phases where they want to acquire all this money and they get all this money. There's like, well, I need more money. And it's like they get the money and they start, you know, trying all these things, getting these things, and it's just kind of empty. And then they start getting into service to others, helping others, lifting others up, mentoring. And then their life becomes more fulfilled, and they start to connect more with the joy and what they thought was the money or these other things. And that's from really surrendering to that heart is what I see, and it just emanates out.
Yeah, I think if we can really start to understand our own relationship patterns and how we either run toward love or away from it, we can then start to understand why it's important that we source the things that we need from within ourselves and our connection to consciousness, to God, to source. And that way our relationships with other people can show up in a really healthy way. It's like it's really hard to have a healthy relationship if you don't understand your shadow within relationships that you've developed over time for protection or survival, and just take some responsibility for how it's playing out, in the attachments that are showing up. Um, this is being sovereign. We've got to take responsibility for the way things are showing up in our lives. We can't just play the blame game.
Yeah. And Carol commented, yes, what story am I believing? Trusting the inner discernment of the gut/heart.
Yeah.
It was interesting. You talked about the shadow too. I was just talking about that this morning, and in men's work in these groups we do, and with women too, is like we would tell each other, like the question would be, how will I know if you're in shadow? Like there's these things we do when we're in our head and caught up in the falsities of things in life and perceptions. And like me, I'll get really quiet or I'll get passive aggressive. And so I'll tell somebody that so they know, oh, he's just in that place, and to be able to hold space and not take it as personally. And then if we were in a group setting, like a therapeutic group setting, we'd be able to help that person in that moment, through that, what they were going through, acknowledge it and then move into the truth of who they are, basically turning around and facing the light. But I think that's true. If we don't know what it is and how we act, then how can we share with others? Like, hey, once in a while, you may see me do this. And if you do, please just give me a hug, or please just, try to help snap me out of it by being like, whatever it is for you, whatever, there's the 5 love languages, things like that are helpful. But really it's like, can you just be present with me when I'm there and not take it personally? I'll snap out of it, at least for me.
Yeah, I think that was like the card we got with the 8 of Cups in reverse. It's like, can you not run when somebody else is going through experiencing their shadow? It's going to trigger us in some way with our own shadow. It's like, can we stand by them and it be in the love instead? And really that's a choice to stand by ourselves. I've learned that with my kids, as they throw tantrums and go through all this emotional stuff that they just naturally go through. At first it was so hard. Like I would get immediately triggered and just want to hide from them. Like I had no clue how to regulate myself. And now I'm at the point where I can just sit with them and whatever they're experiencing it. And it's okay for both of us. And it's not, I notice it triggering my stuff like it used to, but I'm not responding to it anymore. I'm not reacting in the way that I used to in fear, from what it was bringing up inside of me. So it's definitely like, this is powerful stuff that, relationships can teach us. And if we can really start on that journey of understanding ourselves, it takes so much weight off the people in our lives. So much weight.
Yeah, it's like our child self. It's the adults. You'll see an adult regress right to a child, just like that. Temper tantrums, anger. I mean, it's basically just the child coming forward, and yeah, if we take that perspective, it helps a lot too. Be like, oh, this is their child wounding coming forward. This is that child self. And it's easier when it's a kid, but when it's an adult that says, I hate you and, get away from me or something. Not that that's happened to me, but like my niece says that sometimes, like, I hate you. I'm like, oh, okay. Or don't talk to me right now. I'm like, oh shit, what did I do? I just walked in the door. I didn't even do anything, and it's easy to take it personal, but it's like, oh, she's just going through something. But when it's an adult and they say that, it's like, oh, what the hell, and we want to argue with them and stuff. We don't give them the space necessarily. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we got mother again, star mother.
It's like Mary Magdalene.
Yeah, how can you mother yourself, of course.
Cool.
And initiation, rite of passage, crossing the threshold, moving from dark to light. And then the age of light, you've been training for this for lifetimes.
It's a lot of light. Pyramid of light coming at
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've definitely said this before, so I'm copying and kind of repeating myself, but it's just like a lot of us are getting this awesome opportunity to live another lifetime within this lifetime, like a whole brand new paradigm shift for ourselves, all new choices. Like, I don't want to choose that same kind of relationship anymore, or that same kind of job anymore. It doesn't fit me anymore. Like, just a whole new person, and our teacher always says, a lot of your past lives are in your current life. Like, think about how many past lives you've had in just this life alone. How many different versions of you that you've been,
Yep. So many faces and phases.
Yeah.
Opportunities. I'll pull one more card.
Okay.
At the Five of Wands. So, like, this can be playful. This can be fun. This can be enjoyable, even though it's a bit challenging and there's a lot of passion. There's a lot of fire. There's a lot of like interaction involved. It can be like part of the joy of this experience on this planet. In fact, that's probably why we're here. It's like, oh, we're going to Earth, the relationship planet, and we get to play out in this dense, heavy environment, how to connect with parts of ourselves that appear to be outside of us. And how can we do it in a fun, playful way, or, that childlike energy again. And a lot of it, what I'm seeing, from people that come to our events recently is, and always is just this mental body fixation. It's just how many people are in their heads trying to figure stuff out, trying to analyze, trying to like be spiritual, and they're really just in their heads. They're just thinking about their thinking, and they're thinking and they're thinking and they're thinking. And when they come into presence, it's almost scary because it's like they're floating, they're disoriented. And it's like, oh, what's going on? What's happening? And it's grabbing onto some mental construct once again to have stability and balance. And you had mentioned something earlier about, like, I think it was the first card you pulled or the second one, but it reminded me of that pattern of perfection. Like every footstep lands on the ground. Like it's always there. We're always supported. Always. We're in this like vibratory field of just energy at certain frequencies. And we're having this experience, and yet it's solid. It's always solid. Unless we jump off something, even that is going to be, at some point, we're going to be supported again. And so it's like, we're always supported in this like, void space that we're having this, simulation experience. There's always a support. There's always a pattern of perfection. And that's a benevolent energy. It's going to take us where we need to go, where we want to go, or where we desire to go. And we may not enjoy it as much. I think the Hopi talk about this. I think it was the Hopi about the river of life, and you can float down this river, or you can clutch to the rocks and the sticks and get beat up along the shore, or you can let go and allow that flow and enjoy it and make it fun. And so doing that with our relationships too, like let's make it a game, even though, it may be intense and it may be too much. StreamYard always reverses everything. It trips me out. We stream through StreamYard onto YouTube, and it's always reversed, and I don't like reversals. But I'm letting go of that story too. So anyway, that's what came through for me is like, we're here to enjoy this ultimately. And I think it's easy to forget that. And if we can find the way to be like a child in the world, rather than childish. A great person once said that. I'm not a Christian, but like I really appreciate the stories and what came through as far as Jesus's life and Yeshua ben Joseph. So, which actually he went to Egypt too, and Britain and everywhere else. So he was, blessed in all that esoteric information as well. As far as there's like supposedly three Jesuses, but who knows? I'm not an
I
expert.
never heard that.
Yeah.
Aloha, Unity, welcome.
Hey, Brian.
He just got done teaching music, so.
Oh, cool. What kind of music? What kind of teaching?
He teaches for Roland, so it's always on a different piece of equipment. I'm not sure what it was on today. There's drum machines, synthesizers. He basically teaches the people who buy these machines from Roland how to use them.
Oh, cool.
So he's like a live manual. He's standing right outside the door. So weird to be talking about him. He's probably chuckling.
Cool. So did you want to talk about anything else, or should we wrap it up for the day?
Yeah, no, I think, I said this on the Instagram reel, this is some deep energy. And I feel like, even though, like you said, even though this is deep energy and it feels strong and it feels challenging, there's definitely like this ethereal with Neptune and Pisces. There's this ethereal energy to it. We can really tap into our spiritual resources, our spirit guides, our higher self to help us navigate these times and definitely step up. Yeah, spiritually speaking, reaching deeper inside, connecting with our multidimensional selves, our higher selves, to get this bigger perspective and to get more out of ourselves spiritually. These challenges that happen out here horizontally can really send us to new heights vertically as we connect to, what we truly are, like more of our true essence as divine beings. So there's so much grace in times like these. And this is not meant to in any way pull us down or kick us while we're down at all. It really is to lift us up. Like, look at this, you can do this, and you're so much more than you think. And this will bring you into greater alignment with self, and it will shift, not only you, but the people around you as well. So yeah, I think that's all I was going to say.
Yeah. Always try to remember the true self.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that was great. It was awesome that we got to connect in this way and share this information. Everyone that showed up and listened and commented, thank you so much, Carol, Brian, and anybody watching the replay. Really appreciate you. Hope you're doing well with whatever's going on and this was helpful. And again, just take in what resonates and throw away the rest. It's just offering perspective and support at this time. We're guided to do this for as long as we do it. And we got this list of topics we're only halfway through. So we'll probably be doing this a little bit longer for sure.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for watching the recording. Thanks for coming on live. And we will see you next Thursday. Aloha.